In today's episode of the Nourish Life podcast, we are going to talk all things longevity. We'll talk about why strength and movement is so important, different statistics on low versus below to low versus elite fitness levels compared to being a smoker. We will talk about nutrition, how to fuel for longevity, sleep and recovery, all of the importance of it, low stress levels, and the importance of connection, which is commonly overlooked. Let's dive in.
Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Angela.
And I'm Claire, your companions on the journey to a successful and vibrant life.
We are here to debunk those media health myths and break through mental blocks that we all face.
Let's fuel your life with nourishing conversations to a healthier you. All right, we are rolling. Ange.
Good morning.
Anything new, exciting in your world?
Going to a spring training game.
When?
Next
Today?
week. No, sorry, next week. I paused because I was like, well, I'm actually going to Sedona this weekend with a girlfriend. We're just doing one night, so we'll leave early Saturday morning. And we are probably going to freeze because we've had, chillier weather here. Rain is in the forecast. And, but we'll go with it.
It kind of looks kind of majestic in certain areas of Sedona when it rains, so it actually might be really cool.
Well, snow is up there. But I imagine the rain is just as beautiful because I've been up there in July when it was raining. But yeah, it's so you'll have the red rock with white stuff on it, and
that'll be so beautiful.
It'll be beautiful. And I'm having to shift my mind for what to pack, and because I really didn't think that was going to be in the forecast for the middle of March. We've just had a lot of rain here. So
I did a really beautiful hike there when it was snowing once, and it was really cool. So you should do that. Just go on a little one. Nothing like slide rock where you're gonna slip, but
we're going to have to sit down and map out which hikes we want to do, because that's our whole point of going up there is we're going to do a couple hikes on Saturday, a couple hikes on Sunday. So we'll see. So we are we come back all in one piece.
Preferably. Come on. We still have to record. So
yeah, I know, right? What's up with you, Claire?
I've been going to a ton of spring training. This is my absolute favorite time of year. I found out that you can actually get in for free in the 7th inning. So I might utilize that because I can walk to the stadium. So the Giants stadium.
One? Oh, okay.
The Giants. So super fun. I found out that you can actually run the field if you're above 65 or under 14. And so I didn't know the under 14 part on the first day, but my friend was like, I wish we could run the bases. And then my friend goes, oh, you totally could. You just have to sneak in with the kids. And I was like, challenge accepted. So we ran over and we just snuck in with the kids and ran the bases. Then it was so much fun. We tried to do it a second time and they were like, nope, kids only. We're like, dang it. But we got away with it once. And then the next day I found out that it's anyone above 65 as well. And I was with a couple of my patients, and so I ran with them and we ran the bases. It was so much fun. So
I love that. I saw the video that you posted.
Yeah, it was
cute.
So much fun. I wish I had a video with the elders. It was really cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are doing next Wednesday. I forget which one it is. It's off the 101 there. And I'm like, my brain is escaping me, but Diamondbacks. And I think
Talking Stick?
Yeah, and they're playing the Rockies, if I recall.
Okay. Yeah.
Correctly. So, and we just got lawn seats because, it's cheap and it's part of the experience. And I could use some color on my legs.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
But it's only going to be 67 next week. And I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but blue skies. So in a 1:00 game. So that'll be good.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the baseball peanuts. It's the only time I ever get them.
Yes.
Because
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
like, oh, I'm at the store and I'm just gonna go get the shelled peanuts. It's just a part of that whole experience.
Yeah, but maybe buy them outside of the stadium so that they're not $18 for a bag. And
Yeah,
then bring them in.
I didn't
The
realize you
same
could bring
ones at the
in
dollar
stuff.
store. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. So that's good to know because I just assume like every other venue, like you cannot bring any outside food in. It's because they want you to spend $18 on peanuts. And
I'm pretty sure. Okay, I would check me on this, but I'm pretty sure that you can
yeah,
bring
I
in,
mean, I wouldn't
like,
be
you can bring in
surprised.
unopened water too.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I would rather save money in that aspect than spend a bunch.
Use it for
Um,
travel.
yeah, exactly. I have a different pot that $18 is going to go towards.
Exactly. Wow.
But yeah, let's get into it. You're doing the longevity blueprint. So
Yes.
tell us what that means.
Yeah, so I want to talk about just when you're older, what are you going to thank yourself for now? That's what I kind of like to think about. Like,
Mhm.
will my 90-year-old self be happy about this decision right now that I'm making? Or, what, like everything that you do on a day-to-day basis is an investment for your future self. So
Mhm.
what is that going to look like? What are the things to set yourself up for success later on? I mean, it's either hard now and easier later, or easy now, way harder later. And when I say way harder, I mean way harder. Like every decision that you're making right now is going to change what your future is gonna look like. And so I think it's just really important to start thinking about that and start thinking about what are the things, what's the research showing so far. There's so much more research being done on this, which is amazing. Like the podcast Don't Die, he's basically using his body for research. I really recommend that movie. I think he's very extreme, but I think that he's still doing a lot of the things
Oh,
that they're starting to test in research.
I think I saw that one where he's
With
like
Brian
gets up like
Johnson.
crazy early in the morning and he does yeah. It's definitely not for everybody, meaning that type of extreme. And I mean, what does he spend like $2 million a year?
I didn't hear
Invest
that part, but probably.
if we're talking the same person,
Yeah.
he has spent ridiculous amounts a year with all the different vitamins, supplements, to equipment at home, all that.
Yeah, that is extreme. So I'm not going to dive into a lot of that stuff. But
yes, we need a daily practical.
More realistic and practical stuff. So yeah, that documentary was absolutely insane. But he sold Venmo, so he doesn't have to work.
Oh yeah, it's the same guy. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a little different when you don't have to work.
Absolutely.
So you can like just spend your whole life doing
that's your full-time job.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing. But okay, so the number one thing for the basis of everything, I always go back to this because it's just one of the biggest predictor of your longevity is your fitness level, your strength, movement, all of that stuff, your grip strength. For example, so there was this study that they did, and they talked about like how you go from below average to low, or low to below average, low versus above average, and then low versus high, low versus elite. And it is so crazy to see that even just the low versus below average. So if you just barely increase your cardiovascular or cardiorespiratory fitness, 1.4 times higher risk of all-cause mortality. So that just shows you like almost 1.5 times. And then if you go from low to above average fitness, the risk is 1.78 times higher. And then if you go from low to high, it's 2 times higher risk of death. So that is just so crazy to see, just that those little increments. And then if you go from low to elite fitness, the mortality risk was 2.5 times higher. So 2.5 times higher. And one thing that I think is crazy to compare it to is that current smokers face a 2.8 times higher risk. So compared to non-smokers. So the low versus elite fitness at 2.5, and then the current smokers 2.8. These are neck and neck for risk of all-cause mortality. So basically, if your fitness level is higher, then it's or like extremely low versus high. It's basically the same as like not being a smoker. I don't know if that all made sense, but
so if I recap this and make sure, the goal is, where do we want to be? Like, what would be our ideal in our lifestyle?
So ideal is, like, in order to get a high VO2 max, so your VO2 max is your overall fitness level. And so you want to be, I mean, getting to elite is ideal. I don't remember what my last one was. At one point I was at elite, but in order to do that, you do zone 2 training on a regular basis. So 150 minutes or more of zone 2 training. And then also
a day or weekly?
A week at least.
Okay.
For elite. So that's a good beginner for, like, that's probably like around below average. You would be getting, that's like a bare minimum that you should be getting. And then if you want elite, it's upwards of, like, I believe it's 600 minutes a week of that. And so it's a big time commitment if you want to do that. Yeah. But that's for the, like, elite, the 100%. And then, but just in general, mixing in 20% of, like, getting your heart rate up to the max heart rate. So whatever that looks like for you, whether it's cycling, running, doing high intensity, just exercise movements where you're working all of your body parts to get to that higher zone. So whatever that looks like for you, 80-20, so 80% of zone 2 and then 20% of that higher intensity.
Okay. Yeah. And then the smoking comparison is huge to really grasp that. And the, that's a tangible thing, because we see that, like, all the time. Like, it's been common to find out smoking and the side effects and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, it's just crazy to think, like, we reprimand people because we're like, oh, smoking's going to kill you. And it's like, yeah, but sitting on your couch is going to kill you just as much. Like, not moving is going to kill you just as much. And this study proved that. So another thing with the strength and movement. So strength training, so important. Walking it isn't going to cut it. Like, walking is very important, but you have to do other strength training things. I mean, walking is great. Don't get me wrong. You should still do that. Aiming, like, at minimum 7,000 steps a day. I'm doing a challenge right now to try to get as many steps in a day as I can, but 10,000 is a good place to be at on a regular basis. But the strength training where you're actually working, because muscle mass is so important. As we age, you naturally can lose muscle mass, and if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's just so important to continue that, keep your muscles strong. That also keeps your bones strong, which obviously you need your bones to be strong as you're going into your older age, as well as that also can decrease as time goes on. Mobility, so important as well. If you have any chronic pain at all, mobility is huge, and the less mobility that you have, the higher risk for injury that you have as well. NEAT, so non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So that means just continuous movement throughout the day. So whatever you're doing, don't just sit for a long period of time, have a standing desk. If you are sedentary, get up and do like water breaks throughout the day, walk around a little bit around your cubicle, whatever that looks like for you. Just make sure that you're moving throughout the day. It's really important to not just have maybe you're exercising every day for 30 minutes, but the rest of your day is very sedentary. It's much better to move throughout the day. So
yeah.
Moving on. So another big thing is nutrition. So fueling for longevity. So I think Brian Johnson does a more Mediterranean diet, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right.
I think he uses different things from the Blue Zone. So there's actually a Blue Zone project kind of out in Old Town that I've walked past a few times, and I know that they're trying to do more with Blue Zone stuff in Arizona, which is really good to hear. And I'm hoping that our food system is going to be improving here soon too, which is great. So I love that. The different longevity diets. So there's not just one specific thing, because all of our bodies are so different. So it is a little bit of trial and error to see what works best for you. We talked on this podcast about different trends, diet trends, what's the best diet for you. So definitely go back and listen to those if you want some more ideas in this area too, of course. But just overall, eating whole foods is the key to longevity. Eating things that majority of the things that you eat don't come out of a package. You're actually eating whole foods. You're eating vegetables, fruit. You're getting enough protein every day. This is a huge one, especially we just talked about muscle mass. If you're not getting enough protein, chances are you're not at your ideal muscle mass, which you can always get a DEXA scan or do an in-body scan at your gym to figure out where you're at. But if you are not top-notch for muscle mass, then chances are you're not getting enough protein. So getting in the leaner proteins, chicken, fish, getting in those omega-3s with the fish is great. I hate fish, unfortunately, but that's okay. But yeah, just doing everything whole food based. And then of course you're going to have some packaged items here and there. Just be mindful about those and eating the rainbow. And what is your favorite like longevity meal, for an example?
I don't cook it often because it's hard to find good salmon, but definitely salmon would be it because of the healthy fats, the omegas in there. And then lately I've been all about the Brussels sprouts and roasting them. And probably little red potatoes. So super clean, everything from home. I do love Mediterranean. So the Greek, that kind of stuff. But a lot of it, we can quick grab hummus, but it's not always great. It's filled with stuff. So, like we talked about, it's hard to get that clean here unless you're doing it all from scratch. But I love eating clean. I love how it makes me feel. And so I know obviously I can't control everything, but I do my best to find the cleanest options to put in my body, because that's
I love it.
What's going in, What about you, Claire? Since you're not a fish gal, and that's very Mediterranean.
I know. I wish I liked fish so bad, but my favorite is doing this Mediterranean bean salad. It has the most amazing dressing that I actually recommend to all my patients to make. Everyone loves it. So it's just a bunch of seasonings, olive oil, lemon juice, and then the salad is a bunch of different kinds of beans. I always throw it over a bed of spinach, but and do chicken on top. But it has cucumber, tomato, Kalamata olives, feta cheese, and red onions, and then you mix all of that up with the beans, and then you marinate it in the dressing for an hour. And then I put it over spinach with chicken and avocado. And it is just, it hits all the boxes for everything that you would need for a meal. So that's definitely my favorite longevity meal.
I'll be over the next time you make it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. 100%. It's my like specialty.
Well, it sounds so fresh and light, but yet, filling in the same way, but not like uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh, that's a perfect way to describe it.
Yeah.
Okay. So next, shifting over to sleep and recovery. This one is a really hard one and something that I'm working on right now. Sleep is just so important for aging, disease prevention, your immunity, brain health, because it allows your everything to recover. You need your cells to regenerate. They're not gonna it's not as easy for them to do that if you're constantly on the go and you're not giving yourself that rest, that specific rest time for your body to regenerate those cells. Otherwise, you can age quickly if you're not giving yourself that rest. Another thing that I think about a lot is the saying, just sleep on it. I think there's a lot of truth to that, and they've shown that you really can make better decisions and more informed decisions overnight and taking that rest. So it's just so important, even if it's like a nap in the middle of the day, 30 minutes. It can kind of just restart your brain, especially if you're just working through something. And do you ever take naps?
Rarely. And if I do, it's like 15 minutes, which is supposed to be the ideal refresher. I'll, maybe do a rest where I'm just set a timer, to wake me up, or rest is over for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And I find that is such a good reset for me. And I know earlier this year, was it this year? I think it was. The time is flying fast, but we chatted about my sleep and not sleeping as well and how I wanted to make that a goal. Or was that last season? Time's flying.
That was last season.
Yeah, and I've actually have had a much better, like we go to bed around 9, and with the farm of dogs I have, I'm getting up at 5 typically. But I feel a lot more solid rest. And then I'm taking, I don't even know the name of it. My naturopath gave it to me, but it's like I just do 10 sprays in the mouth. And it's helped me a lot. And I've changed what I'm drinking before bed. I don't have a protein shake anymore, so I'm not having to have interrupted sleep going to the bathroom. So I've actually had a lot of success, and I feel like I know in the back of my head, even if I wake up sore because I had a great workout the day before, I know I'm restoring. And so I'm proud to say, like, I'm holding to that like commitment.
Wow, that's like full circle. I completely forgot. I love hearing this. It's like with coaching, I'm always so excited when someone's like, okay, I have this as my goal. Like sleep is so important. And I had someone recently say that used to sleep 4 hours a night and he's sleeping 8 hours a night now. And I'm like, what? Double it. So I don't know. It's so cool for me to hear those things. So good for you. Good for you.
I love it. Just little bits, right? And that's the reminder, is it's just taking on small things and making that commitment.
And look at you. You're going to live even longer now. So
refreshed.
I love it. Yeah. So deep sleep is really important. You can aim for 90 minutes. I think I'm around 90 minutes for the sleep cycle. If you have an Apple Watch or something like that, a Fitbit, you can do that. We actually have a whole entire sleep episode. So if you want to go back to that one, that episode is pretty power packed too, with just different tips and tricks to maximize your sleep. Stress is huge. for like you can actually look at people that are and you and I have talked about this before, like how people who are just live their lives so stressed out, you can see it in their face. Like you can see how that affects them. It like people say like, oh, you can like see my ankles aging me and my stress is aging me. So I think that there's a lot of truth to that. And what did you tell me one day? I'm trying to remember, but it really stuck with me just how you described like how you look so young.
I mean, for me, it's having joy, like laughing a lot and just finding joy. That's what comes to mind, because I had a lady ask me when I was working at Lululemon, and she was like, "No way, you're not that old." And she's like, "Well, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Well, I drink a lot of water and I try to laugh a lot and finding the joy, because that's the opposite of stress. And I can tell in my body when I have a stressful, things are going on. I'm not sleeping good because that impacts it. Or if James and I are having, we have a discussion and there's tension and we're not landing on the same page, and then I go to bed, and this just happened where, as we all understand, you start a conversation and you don't realize it's going to open up more pathways to other things to discuss. And so 9:00 hit and we were letting the dogs out, and we didn't, it just ended. Like it wasn't okay, agree to disagree. It just kind of was like dropping off a cliff, and we were done talking about it. And that is very stressful for me. For James, he's like, "Okay, we don't need to keep talking about it. Let's just let it go." And so I slept terrible that night. Ugh. And it wasn't because it was anything intense. It was just another conversation that was stressful. And I end up waking up. I laid in bed for like an hour, and then I decided I'm just going to go into my office here and lay down. And I just, picked something gently to listen to, and eventually I fell back to sleep. But there are also studies that say, it's okay to go to bed angry, or, like that whole thing that used to say, don't go to bed angry, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. Like maybe sleeping on it for some people and letting that dust settle. I don't necessarily have to have a resolution and we're now like frolicking up the stairs to bed, but to have some kind of closure to it is very helpful for my wiring. And I could tell how it impacted me the next day. Like I just felt sluggish. It was still on my mind, but life goes on, and we're back to working, and it's just, I don't want to live in that space. And there's a little insight to my life, but it's just valuable to come to some peace. Maybe not within your person, but looking back, because I can't control somebody else. I can only control myself. So how can I personally let that go? Like, what do I have to do for me in order to allow peace in letting my mind just rest, so I can get that solid sleep again and eliminate stress?
Yeah. I mean,
so
you know yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was super rabbit trail there, but I think it's something we can all relate to, whether it's a relationship thing that's, going on, or a work stress, a deadline. It's how we can find a way to find the good in it, find the positive,
Absolutely.
and leave on that note. So, but back to your number 5 here, or unless there's more with stress.
Yeah, I love it. No, yeah. Managing it, understanding your stressors, and finding how it's best managed, because that's also trial and error of what works best for you to manage it, right? Maybe now you need to close that loop. like
Mhm.
whatever that looks like for that night, so that you don't go into it and your mind's racing, which is probably the number one thing that I hear from patients is my sleep is bad because I can't shut down my mind, and then I end up laying there forever. And so sometimes I'll tell people to just journal it out and like put everything out there, whether it's like talking into your journal app on your phone that's free, or writing it out and having the thoughts, like releasing it, dumping it out, right, and having a clean slate going into bed.
Yeah.
Doing something like that, whatever works best for you. So trial and error. The last one that is very overlooked and underrated, which is one of the things that I read or watching the Don't Die book, I think that he was so in tune with so many things except for this one, because connection. It is so important. Connection to purpose, having a purpose in the world. What am I here for? Why do I do what I do? Having that, I start with that with every single patient that my coaches meet with is, what's your why? Why are you doing any of this? Like, why are you going to make any of these changes? Because when things get hard, that's what you can go to. And so it's so important to have a strong one, because those are the people that I work with that are the most successful in making changes. These are the people that are most committed to their health, the people that have a connection, a community, a purpose. And it's just so important to have that level. Like in the Don't Die book, I think he lacked that. He said that every woman that he found to maybe date, like he would tell them, oh, you're going to hate me. You're going to hate me. My life is going to be too much for you. And he would literally say that to every girl.
Negative.
And it's just, yeah. And I think that connection is just so key to life, to have that. So
well,
I'm
I would say
curious
he has
about
something deeper going on. You know, why he's protecting, you know, like why do we push away connection, whatever that looks like? You know, sometimes it's us protecting ourselves from, you know, whatever. If you find that your friendships kind of come and go, maybe you're scared to invest, or maybe you're shy and you don't want to join you know, a rec league of some sort, or a run club, or a book club, or whatever, a mom's group if you're in that space. And it's just, think back to like COVID, right? Everyone was all pumped about just like working from home and being home, but in time, studies were showing that lack of connection was reflecting on people and their health, their mental health.
It's
And
so
we're designed
important.
to have companionship of all sort. Like that's how humans are designed, for connection.
Exactly. So I just want to end this with 3 longevity, debunking these myths. I will consider this my clarification as well. So
Nice.
myth number 1, longevity is all about genetics. Like, oh yeah, if your great grandparents lived a long time, I'm going to live a long time, or whatever it is. I think that a lot of that is because maybe you're living similar lifestyles or different things like that. But the truth is, only 20 to 30% of your lifespan is genetic. So lifestyle matters that other 70 to 80%. So that's really important to keep in mind, is that you actually do have control over the length of your life. So you can't really use that as an excuse of your ancestors. Myth
Power
number
of
2.
choice.
Yep, exactly. Myth number 2, aging means that you're inevitably going to decline. This is my big one, because I hate the excuse, oh, well, I'm getting older. I'm just like, you wouldn't understand, which I get it to a point, yes. But also a lot of people start to decline because they're not moving as much as they were. Like they're not doing the same things that they were doing. If you don't use it, you lose it. So it's like when people say that, I'm like, well, are you still doing the same things that you were doing at my age then? Because they're like, well, you don't understand, because at my age, I can't do that anymore. And I'm like, what is that, because of aging, or is it because you're actually just not doing the same things?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to mean you can actually get better at any age. You can start whenever. You don't have to think, oh, it's too late. I'm 65 and it's too late. My life decisions have already brought me here. It's like, no, you can make lifestyle decisions right now that are going to make you better later on.
Right. And I'm in a space where I have a lot of women going through perimenopause and then on into menopause. And again, that is a assumption that's the age bracket your body changes and the belly fat comes on and this and that. But again, it goes back to like, what's your lifestyle? Like, what changes have you made to put on the weight? What is your what can you control? Checking your levels can reverse some of that, and making sure you're on the proper supplements or getting the help that your body needs. But that whole belly weight, menopause, metabolism slowing down is not actually 100% true. And so, I'm kind of curious about that since I'm in this stage, and I want to explore that a little bit more and change that statement.
I love that. I really want to get someone on our podcast that is really knowledgeable about like women's hormones and everything, because that's the whole episode that we could do on that.
Sign me up.
I would love that. So, and then myth number 3, that more supplements equals a longer life. So I always am such an advocate for just whole foods. You're not digesting, like, supplements are very necessary at certain times. Once you know what's going to help you, once you know what you're deficient in, maybe you have someone guiding you in that, like you have your naturopath. And I think it's really important to be guided in the right direction, because it's so easy to get caught up and see these different supplements on Instagram or TikTok. Like, oh yeah, this supplement is like Ozempic. It's like, or like these different supplements. And it's like, maybe those haven't been tested and maybe those aren't benefiting you. You might just be throwing away money on these supplements. I've done this in the past with stuff I didn't know what it was, and I ended up buying it, and it didn't add to my life. And then I saw what added chemicals are in it too. So the supplement realm is really scary to me, because if you look at like the percentage of them that are actually like useful versus the ones that are just created and just thrown out that they can make money on. And so anyways, the whole supplement thing could be a whole entire episode, but try to eat whole foods. And Ange, what's your action for today?
Mine is going to be a little bit of what I touched on with just like how I choose to allow my brain to relax before bed, and making sure that I'm despite who's around me or what's around me and what's going on, is just what can I control? And like you said, journaling, writing it out, just getting it out of the system, if that's the case, I think is key, because my goal is to have great sleep. So how do I support that?
I love it.
Well, thank you, Claire, for this, these wonderful reminders of how easy it is to create longevity. All of these have been very tangible at any level of where you're at, and just keep building and compounding a better lifestyle, because the small things create big change.
Absolutely. I love that line. Let's end on that. It's beautiful. Have a great day, everyone.